I have more breaking news for you guys regarding the hantavirus cruise ship. The 23 passengers that I first reported in my last video that actually have already gotten off. So while people are saying keep them on there, don't let them off, and all of that, I get that. Well, 23 people already disembarked between April 21st and April 24th. Okay, so this is not being reported, widely reported. Everyone's saying I'm the first person they heard this from. So I wanted to give you more details because now there may be another person who has symptoms. They're testing him now from France. So one of you guys left a comment and let me know that. So thank you. Any tips, anything that you're hearing, no matter how far-fetched, leave that comment because I'm trying to comb through them and dig up as many details as possible because we know we're not going to get the truth. Am I giving you these details because I know this is going to be a pandemic? Am I giving this to you to scare anyone? No. Do I think it's a pandemic? Of course. Of course. Do I think they want another lockdown? I've been telling you that for months, even last year. This is what they want. This is what they've been planning, as well as the global energy lockdown that is coming, right? So let me give you these details. So the French nationals on the ship, there were 5 French passengers among the original 88 passengers on the MV Hondas. No specific details released about them, name, symptom, blah, blah, blah. And it keeps saying there's 149 people still on this ship. It started with 149 people and it still has 149 people, even though 30 people are off the ship, 3 who are dead. But that number has stayed the same. And the ratio to the number of passengers to crew, none of it makes sense. Not a thing about this cruise makes sense. But we'll get into that in the next video. So this is what I want to get to. A French national, a man, per some reports, who was not on the cruise ship, has been identified as a contact case. He was on the same April 25th Airlink flight from St. Helena to Johannesburg as the Dutch woman, the second fatality, all right, who later died of confirmed Andes hantavirus. I don't know how to say all these names, but understand. Okay, so the original man, it was an elderly couple, Dutch couple. He died on the 11th. They didn't know what he died of, right? And as a side note, the doctor now it was taken off the ship because he has it. So they didn't know. So the wife, she then disembarks, I guess part of that 23 people who disembarked, and she flew out because she was going to fly home. Her husband had died, but she had taken a flight and then was going to do a connecting flight, but she fell out at the airport and I believe died 2 days later. I don't quote me on the exact days, but it's around that, right? 1 or 2 days. She died. So that's who they're talking about with this Dutch woman. Both of them are dead. She and her husband, they are the original one. Her husband was, I guess, patient 0. Status of the Frenchman. French health ministry describes him as a contact case being monitored. Some media report he has fallen ill or contracted the virus, raising concerns about possible human-to-human transmission outside the ship. Well, we already know that's what the Andes version does, but of course they're downplaying it now. And again, guys, do I think this is a psyop? Yeah, of course, everything is. Like, if you're new to me, that's all I talk about. That's all I talk about. But it doesn't mean that this isn't real. This doesn't mean this isn't something planned. Doesn't mean this isn't going to be a worldwide thing. And it has a 40 to 50% mortality rate. They've actually raised it up. Yes, 40 to 50. And there is no cure. There is no vaccine for it. You just have to be, given care, right? And so with that, understand it could be fake, it could be planned, which everything is. It could be all of that, guys. It doesn't mean it's not real and they're not going to use it as a mechanism, right? They're not going to use it for another lockdown. Can I guarantee it? No. Could this be natural? Maybe. I'll give that a small chance, right? But if this isn't natural, because like I said, I'm going to do a whole big expose on the ship, that passenger that did the video crying and all that. It's very weird. A lot of weirdness is going on. Of course, I get a phone call in the middle of it talking about distractions. But anyway, so with this, understand all of that is true. This it could become a pandemic. It could turn out to be nothing. It could be a test to see how we react right now because they learned the last time. They've all said this. The WEF. I've been reporting them because I knew this was the next layer. But again, I can't make guarantees, but I want to keep you as informed as possible. Things that the news isn't reporting or diving deeper so that we can be as informed as possible because we have to protect ourselves. You know, look, the government's going to do it. The who is going to do it? What? Absolutely not. So let me continue. All right. So it says, as of now, no official lab confirmation that he has hantavirus. Tests are ongoing. French authorities have not announced a new confirmed case. French authorities are actively involved in contact tracing for this individual and any of his close contacts. This is part of the broader international effort coordinated by WHO. No secondary cases from him have been reported. This is the first potential case linked to the outbreak in a person who never boarded the ship. If confirmed, it would support limited, oh, of course, limited person-to-person spread via the Andes strain. Rare close contact transmission. Well, how close was he to this woman on the flight? Like, again, we're not getting details, and I don't expect them to give us details. And this is why we have to pull from different places. Now, I want to give you some more info about the contact tracing and what has been happening, like overall, since this whole thing began. And this is like up to the minute of the information that has been put out. The St. Helena to Johannesburg flight contacts. So total on the flight were 82 passengers and 6 crew, 88 total. The Dutch woman, the second fatality, was symptomatic on this flight. Contacts identified 62 in South Africa includes flight crew, airport staff, healthcare workers, hospital cleaners, and others who had close contact with the Dutch woman or the British evacuee. Tracked or followed up so far, 42 out of the 62, none positive yet. Still being located, 20. Some may have traveled overseas, right? So this is on just that flight that this one woman took. And then we don't know where those people have went and everyone else has had contact. Remember, this has an incubation period of up to 8 weeks. Up to 8 weeks. Right. And this is mentioning the French national, a man not on the ship on this flight, classified as a contact case being monitored, reports of illness, but not yet lab confirmed. So we just went over that. Now, the 23 St. Helena disembarks. Right. So these are the people who left early, including the Swiss couple and the Dutch wife who got off after her husband died on the 11th. Right. So this group got off between April 21st and April 24th. So, and national authorities across multiple countries are actively locating and monitoring all 23 and their close contacts post return. So, I believe in February, we left the WHO. And conveniently, in March, Argentina left WHO. Now, WHO, what do you think? I really think they're out here helping people. You guys, Dr. Fauci, all of that. All the, and I actually have an update about Dr. Fauci kind of related to this, but I don't know if we'll get to it in this one. But anyway, so with this, understand with the WHO, I have no love for them. All of these international organizations, you know where I stand. I think it's all evil, all corrupt. I I believe all of this is planned. That is where I stand. That is my personal belief after all of my research and where I stand with things. But I just think it's convenient, like with who's doing the contact tracing. There are no people in the US to work with who for the contact tracing. And there are Americans, or maybe some of these other international people flew to the US. But there are Americans who came home out of this group. And I want to make that clear. So I don't know what's been followed up with all of them. Who knows? All right. So all monitoring all 23 and their close contacts post return. Right. So they're monitoring them, but we don't know where they are. No exact public total of secondary contacts yet. Many scattered to Australia, Taiwan, USA, UK, Netherlands, and Switzerland. We only know that because a passenger, some random, a Spaniard guy who is still on the ship, or a Spanish guy. I don't know where he's from, but he speaks Spanish, and he gave an interview to El País magazine. And he is the one that said where he could remember where some of the people who got off, where they're from. So we don't have any official information about it. We're just getting it from, like I said, this random passenger who is still on the ship. Outreach was delayed for many until 3 days ago. No one had contacted them per onboard Spanish passenger. At least two had minor symptoms and may have exposed St. Helena locals. Known outcomes from this group: the Swiss man confirmed positive, isolated in Zurich. Him and his wife are in Zurich, but he has it, but the wife is asymptomatic and she is self isolating. Is she isolating at the hospital or just sitting up in the house? I don't know. Zurich cantonal authorities and Federal Office of Public Health actively tracing his post-return close contacts travel home community. Numbers not publicly specified. Did they go back to work? Do they have kids, family that live with them? How many people? What were they doing? We're talking about weeks before some people were contacted. Like, it's been like 2 weeks at least, guys. So what was happening that whole time with all of these people that have disembarked, that are still alive? Or the people that they've had, and all the flights, guys, this is exponentially how it could grow. Right. And again, this is just information, not to scare, not to cause panic, but to arm you, right? To arm you with as many facts and truth as possible that I can find. So the St. Helena Island local contacts, small number of locals who interacted with the two symptomatic disembarkers. The status: risk-based tracing underway. A few close contacts advised to self-isolate. No cases on the island. All right, so there's a population of 4,400. The risk is low. Onboard close contacts, 149 people remaining. Again, that 149 number doesn't make sense because they started with 149 and ended with 149, even though 30 people have gotten off the ship. Help me understand that. And like a third, actually, there's like 88 passengers left and like 60 something crew that are still on there. Like, the math just doesn't math. I covered that in my last one. All remaining passengers and crew are under strict quarantine and considered high-risk contacts. 3 evacuated today, 2 seriously ill. 1 is the doctor on the ship, now confirmed suspected positive, and 1 close associate, there it is, the ship's doctor. These are being treated and monitored in Europe. Broader onboard monitoring covers the entire group. No broader international and WHO tracing. WHO coordinating across 16 plus countries for passengers, crew, flight contacts, health workers, and families. Hundreds of people under some level of monitoring. Exact global total not released, but includes the 62 plus in South Africa, 80 plus on the key flight, and 23 disembarkers and networks and onboard group. Follow-up progress. More than 60% of identified contacts have been followed up in some international efforts. Well, isn't that just comforting? More than 60% have been identified and have been followed up in some effort. No widespread secondary cases yet. Contact tracing is intensive but fragmented due to the 23 passengers scattering globally early on. The most concrete numbers are the 62 South African contacts, 42 traced, so 20 not, from the Johannesburg flight. WHO describes the public risk as low, but the Andes strain's rare human-to-human potential keeps efforts urgent. Numbers are still increasing as more follow-ups occur. So guys, make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell, because I have a lot more to report. I told you all the weirdness that I'm finding. I just want to double check everything before I put it out there. So you are definitely going to want to be here to hear what I have to say. So make sure you hit that notification bell to all, and I will see you very shortly.